Yo boys, FaZe Doritos here. Decided to do a YouTube video today on my UI. I've had so many people asking me questions. Ignore the lighting over here. It's kind of earlier in the day. I woke up a bit earlier, so I decided to send this. It's 4 p.m. right now. So I have a lot of questions. People are always wondering about my UI. They want to know, like, how do I have these, like, bars here? You know, why do they look the way they do? Can I have your add-ons, your arena frames, your nameplates, and stuff like that? So I'm going to try to be as precise as I can be without making this video too long, and I want to just talk and brush over some things so people could, like, have an idea of how I did the things that I did and what did I do. So first, I'm going to go on the basic UI, things that you guys can change without downloading a thing, okay? So if you go to edit mode, this is the configuration of all of my frames, all of my bars, everything. This is how everything looks. If you want, you guys can take a screenshot of this so you can make sure everything looks the way that it does. And then when it comes to like buffs and stuff for the target frame, so you can make it above their head, you simply right click the frame and then you can make buffs on top. And then you can do it for this as well. Make buffs on top, larger frame for the focus. And then for buffs and debuffs, I just have them a little bit over so they could be more in the center and less away so they could be easier to see. And then when it comes to in an RBG, I put my frames here. All of my frames are here so I could see 1 through 10, right, for like a rated BG or whatever. And then party frames are here, kind of close to me so I could see what's going on. I put them a little bit over top of my my player frame. If you guys want, you can move it a little bit higher so you can fit the pet frame if you're playing demo or whatever. But I play Affliction only, so I don't need to have a pet frame that's like squirmed over, so it's a little bit lower. And then when it comes to focus frame, all of my buffs and stuff are above the player's head. So just remember to make that like buffs up top, buffs up top. And then when it comes to cast bars, because cast bars, I feel like you could compare a cast bar to a sword. Like if you were going to think about like a Gladiator IRL, like a fucking Conan the Barbarian or whatever, you would be thinking about like their sword being like, you know, their right arm type shit. Well, guess what? Your right arm is your cast bar. That's why mine looks so neat in the way that it does, because very important to have a really nice cast bar so you can play the game and feel comfortable. And you want everything to feel clean, you know? When it feels clean, everything feels right. It's kind of like when you wake up in the morning and you make your bed or whatever. You just want it to feel right. So I use quartz, okay? And if I were to toggle my bar lock, you guys can see where the configuration and everything is. Boom. So as you can see, I have my focus frame. Let me make my own focus. There we go. So my focus bar is below my focus frame. My target frame is below my target. And my cast bar is directly below my player frame. And if I were to have a pet, let's make a pet real quick. Also, the pet bar is below this for like succubus and stuff. Kind of out of the way. So there we go. You have a pet. So it's like almost touching the pet bar. That's where my quartz is positioning wise. You guys can copy that if you want. So now let's go back to quartz real quick. When it comes to the player frame and the font and the configuration, this is the player frame. I like to hide everything. Everything is hidden. And then when it comes to the texture, which is the way that it looks, I use details flat. If you guys have details, you will have this font. So as long as you have details downloaded, you could go into this and then you could see it. It's right there. Boom. And then for the target frame, it's pretty much the same thing. I just have these unhidden because you want to see what spells you're locking and stuff. So I could see spell name, cast time, etc. Texture, the same as everything else, flat. But this one, I have everything checked. Everything is checked here. And then when it comes to focus, it's pretty much the same thing as the target. Everything the same. Texture, details flat. And pet frame is pretty much the same. Everything's the same. And then when it comes to everything else is unchecked. Everything else, uncheck everything else. You don't need it. You don't need swing timer, interrupt timer, enemy cast bar. You don't need any of these, okay? So make sure those are unchecked. And now when it comes to the way that my dominoes frames are zoomed, that is a artwork thing that you can easily download. It's Maskew. Just download Maskew and download like some of their like base fonts. Texture packs on Curse. And then when you do that, you'll have like all these different skins pre-downloaded, and then I just go to zoomed. Everything that I use is zoomed, and to change those skins is pretty simple. You just go Maskew, skin settings, and then when it comes to dominoes, I just made a dream, or you can make it zoomed. or whatever, but mine's Dream right now. So yeah, you could just swap them around, change the global to Dream too, and then everything is the same. Trophy GCD, this is something you guys don't need. This is a streamer thing, so don't worry about this one. All this does is shows my global for global, and it tracks it right next to the screen. Though, I have seen some streamers that are like professional WoW players. What they do is they actually show their focus. They do something that maybe I should try out, where they take the arena focus, right? Let me show. And they put the anchor for the focus here. And you could see their global for global. But I have a thing called TIA. I use TIA GCD tracker, which tracks GCDs. So I don't really need that. This does the same thing, but it's over their nameplate. So I don't really need this. But I've seen some streamers make use out of it, and that's actually very smart, because like some interactions are very scripted. Like, for example, you versus Destro Warlock, he presses Havoc, 90% of the time his next global is Coil. So if you could see the first global before the Coil, you can like pre-meld it or pre-port it, you know? So like you could do like some on-the-fly reactionary outplays, which is really cool. With Trophy GCD or TIA GCD, which is a WeakWare that you can download. Okay, so the next add-on that we're going to talk about is my arena frames. So I'm going to go after like the very important stuff, right? These are the things that I can't play the game without. So I'm going to make sure to go over these first. So S Arena, let's test that. And then I have Gladiator EX, let's test that as well. So this is very important to me. And what it does is the Jex is Gladiator EX. I use that. I use Gladiator EX so I can track their cooldowns underneath their arena frames. This is very helpful, because what it does is it separates all their cooldowns based on what they're playing, and it puts it very organized underneath the frame, right? And this organization makes the game so much easier. I gotta hide this. This organization makes the game so much easier. So I could like take a glance to my arena frames, and I could see what cooldowns I have defensively. And I could be like, oh, this guy doesn't have Iron Bark or Bark Skin. Maybe the Druid can die. You know, like this mage has no block, no snap for block. He has nothing. Maybe the mage can die. You know, like on the fly decision making on what target's the best target is easier done when the cooldowns are separated and you could just see what's going on. You know, so I have things like that. And my S Arena is in the Zaryu layout. So like there's different layouts. So like if I were to click this one, you know, like there's different ones and they all look different. So every single different type has a different layout. And I use personally Zaryu. Okay, so if you guys want to copy that, I use Zaryu. Take a screenshot of all these, by the way. Positioning, sizing, you could just pause the video, take a screenshot, do whatever you got to do. They all do different things, you know, like they're all like different settings that you guys can copy. Boom. And then for that, that's pretty much it for S Arena. With Jex, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have no idea. I had somebody help me do this, and I'm still kind of confused with how to fix it, because I have 2 accounts, and I was trying to fix it on my second account, and I couldn't. I couldn't figure it out. I don't know what to do to make it like, so my second account, I have like black boxes above the CDs, and it overlaps on my S Arena, and I can't see anything. So only on my main account does it work. My Jex. So you guys are going to have to get some assistance to try to figure out how to get this to work, because I tried to copy the settings and I still couldn't figure it out. So I'm sorry guys, but Jex is going to be kind of a thing that I have. If you guys can figure it out, great. But Jex does have that feature where you can. So as far as I'm concerned, and as far as I know, the only way to like have it only showing cooldowns is to make everything hidden. So I disabled every module except for cooldown, and then outside of that, I couldn't figure it out. Okay, so if you guys can figure it out, great, because this is an amazing way to track enemy defensive CDs. Anyways, let's go to the next thing. The next important thing is dominoes. Okay, dominoes is the next important, and with these 4, these are literally everything. There's nothing else that I could show you guys that's gonna like be super changing to the UI. This is all the stuff that I use, right? And then outside of that is kind of basic stuff that everybody uses, like Omnibar and OmniCD. But for the newer players, I'll jump into that after I jump into this. So when it comes to this, people always ask me, how am I tracking only cooldowns that are important and hiding everything else? Well, dominoes is how I do that. So what you do is you have hidden bars. So my hidden bars are up top and over here. So these are where my buttons are. All my buttons are over here and they're hidden. An easy way that you guys could do this without much changing is you could download dominoes, and when you download dominoes, you're going to notice all your frames are going to be down here and like where they were with Blizzard frames. The only difference is now you have extra bars, aka mine is 10 and 11. You have these extra bars that you could put buttons on that don't have any keybinds. Okay, so that's what I did. I just put all of my cooldowns on bars that have no keybinds, and then I hid everything with keybinds. Now the key to make this really fluent so you don't really have to think about what you're pressing is make sure everything that you're hiding is buttons that have no cooldown. So everything that's spammy, has no cooldown, is hidden. Everything with a cooldown is shown in the center of my screen, so I know which buttons I need to track and which I don't. So I just basically took out the stuff that is a waste of space and hid it, so I don't have to see it anymore. And you guys can do the same thing, and it's very simple. You just download it, and then you can literally, as simply as middle mouse scroll wheel, you can click it, and then it hides it like this, right? You could just hide it, and then you could right click, and you have a setting thing pop up, and you could copy the size and everything. These are the ones that I have. You guys can copy the same thing that I have, okay? You can copy the same layout. You can have all your buttons on the same bars as mine, and then you could just go and right click, and then you can copy this one. My little tip, my action bar 11 is a little bit bigger and has more buttons than my action bar 10, so don't make these identical. Action bar 11 is 12, size, column 6, and scale 129. And then this one, they both have the same scale, but this one has different size and columns. This one's 10 and 5, and then 129 scale. So you guys could copy that as well. And that's pretty much it. Like, there's not really anything that's like too different from other people's UIs that play WoW PvP at the top level. But there is one more thing that you guys that are new at the game might need. So I'm going to show this to you guys right now. It's called Omnibar, okay? So Omnibar, let me test. And test this one too. So these both show your cooldowns. Like enemies' interrupts are on this side of the screen for me. And then enemies' cooldowns that they pop are on the right side. So I could see like different cooldowns when they're about to send a go. A lot of comps in the game are go related. So it's really important to see when they have stuns coming up or when they have cooldowns coming up that are offensive, so you can make sure to outplay it or plan around it or whatever. So Omnibar is really good for that. And I'm going to show you guys that orientation of how I use these like positionally on my screen. So Omnibar 2, the positioning is X, Y. You can copy this. I think with this, if you like copy my X, Y, it might get cut in the corner. So you might want to manually move it. So I have an Omnibar 2, which strictly shows enemy CDs. Enemy CDs like Blinding Sleet. DH's Fell Eruption, which is stuns. You know, Chaos Nova, Essence Break. Druid has Mighty Bash. Fury of the Elune, which is Boomkin damage CD. Maim, which is Feral Druid stun that they're about to send a go, so I track that. Evoker, I trap Deep Breath, and Fire Breath, which are like both things that are very scary, which is good to track. And then the next thing, Hunters, I track True Shot, Freezing Trap, because they usually send a go on a stun and a trap. Explosive Shot, which is very big as well. Combustion from Mage. I should probably check Icy Veins as well, honestly. And Arcane Surge and Ray of Frost. Storm, Earth, and Fire, which is clones, or Serenity, which is, where is that? Also Leg Sweep, very big. Track Leg Sweep, that's usually when they send a go as well, like monks and stuff. Serenity. Paladin, I track. I don't think I need to track this, to be honest. I track Wings, Final Reckoning, Hammer of Justice, which is big. You track this because you want to know when they're going to stun your healer. It's very important. Also, little tip, the timer on this is kind of wrong. It might say a minute, but usually it's down in like 30 seconds. They have a thing that reduces the cooldown of their stun by like however many times they press a certain spell. I forgot which spell it is. So be aware of that. So the next thing, Priest. Honestly, I don't need to track that. I usually just track Scream, Void Eruption because that's their damage, Dark Angel because that's also their damage. This is a choice node for them, so like they either choose Void Eruption or Dark Angel. They can only have one or another, so don't worry about this like blowing up your monitor with like a lot of icons. Psychic Horror is part of their like go. Like when they send a go, it's stun and then it's silence. Okay, so I track both of them, so I know when they're gonna send, right? And that's pretty much all that I track for Priest. Now, when it comes to Rogue, there's a lot of stuff that I track for Rogue because Rogues are usually Go related, and they have cooldowns that will kill you if you don't know they're coming. Like Kingsbane and Gormaw are a type of like CDs that if a Rogue doesn't have it, it's the difference between you dying and knowing you died that go, or you surviving and not pressing CDs because you don't need to. So it's very important. Also, kidney shot is something that every kidney shot, you know, they're sending something they're trying to set up. And so knowing a kidney shot is 5 seconds away is going to be the difference between you being prepared and you not being prepared for the next go. So it's very important to know that. Deathmark, I also track that. Shaman, I track all 3 Ascendances, and I track Primordial Wave, which is the go for Ellie Shaman. Whenever they Primordial Wave, that means big damage is coming. Stormkeeper as well. That's like a smaller CD, but it's still something I track. Nether Ward, it's good to know when they have Nether Ward or not, so you can like not get UA reflected or whatever. You can like fake cast it or something. Seduction, I track that as well. Some people like to play Seduce Pet, like the Chinese teams that play, they like to play Seduce, which is really weird, but it works for them. So I track that. Havoc, very important. So when it comes to Havoc, I like to play, if I play Night Elf, I can track the Havoc coil pretty easily because every time they Havoc, they're going to send coil, usually. So I can like easily meld, pre-meld. Soul Swap for the Affliction Warlock gamers out there, not many of them, but you know, eventually you find yourself fighting one, you know, so it's good to have that information. Dimensional Rift, very big cooldown that old Esther Warlocks love to press and one-shot you behind a pillar, which is not fun, but you know, you want to track it so you don't get one-shotted. And that's pretty much all that I track for Warlock. For Warrior, I track, actually I want to track Coil. For Warrior, I track pretty much only Colossal Smash, I think. Yeah, Colossal Smash and Stormbolt. Everything else is untracked. Probably should track Shockwave too, actually, so I'm going to do that as well. And that's pretty much it. That's the only things that I track from DPS classes and, you know, CDs. And then when the other Omnibar is basically, they already give you this. So the first Omnibar is going to be set up in a way that it's only going to track all the interrupts in the game, and it's not going to, like, add anything else. So the Omnibar is the only thing that you need to add. The Omnibar 2. And then outside of that, you could just go to position, and you can change the position. You can increase the size in the settings here, which is going to increase the size of the bar. And then you could scroll down. I think in Mask you can change the skin. Let me see. Skin settings, right? And then you can go to Omnibar, and you can change the skin. So I make my Omnibar zoomed. Mine is zoomed. Actually, I'm going to make a dream just like everything else. I didn't even realize that, so I'm going to make that dream as well. So there we go, boom. Mask you is set up with your Omnibar now after you do that. Now Omni CD, which is a little bit Omni CD is basically on your party frames. It's going to show you their cooldowns on the party frame. Let me actually see if I can try to get it to show. Test mode. I don't know how to show you guys it right now. So basically, if you guys check on my stream, you're going to notice that I have... Let's put on test. Just so I can show you. So right next to my party frames, you're going to notice I have CDs, like on the side. And basically, Omni CD tracks your teammates' CDs so you know what buttons they have and what they do not. Which is very helpful. Whenever I go to see, like, what defensive cooldowns my healer may have or what do I have, so I don't overlap if you're not in voice. It's very important. Or knowing when your teammate might have stun silence coming back if you're playing with a Shadow Priest, or if you're playing with a Rogue, you want to know when his kitty is coming back, or with a Warrior, you want to know when his Stormbolt's coming back, etc., etc. And to track different spells, all you got to do is go to the Spells tab, and then you could scroll down different classes. You could turn them on, turn them off, and you could just know what they have and what they don't have. I actually want to turn this like pet kick thing off. I don't know why that's on. We don't need to see that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the UI video. I don't really have too much add-ons, as you guys can see. It's just very simple, very basic. And if you guys have any questions about weak wars and stuff, please just go to my stream, TTB Face Doritos. I stream every single day, usually 6 to 8 hours. Recently, I've been a little bit slow and lazy, but you know it's going to catch up again soon. Anyways, guys, if you want to check some content out, you want to go to the stream, you want to ask questions about UI or weak wars or stuff, don't be afraid to come in the chat and say hello, and I'll be streaming usually. So anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in and watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.